At brunch, my mother gave a sly grin and remarked, "You're fortunate we even let you join us. Sympathy carries a lot of weight." My aunt, sipping her mimosa, chimed in, "Let him feel like he belongs." I just offered a faint smile, sipped my coffee, and stayed silent. That evening, I reached out to my attorney, put the family cabin on the market, and withdrew my access from our shared financial pool. 2 weeks later, they were hit with notifications, cancellations, and a group chat buzzing with chaos. Then my brother called, his voice full of rage. The moment I stepped into the room, Jake chuckled and said I looked like I just rummaged through a thrift store bin. My mother didn't even look up before muttering that I must have finally rediscovered my razor. My aunt smirked behind her drink, as if the whole scene was her private amusement. They didn't ask me to brunch because they wanted my company. They invited me to have someone to mock. The dining room was pristine, like something out of a lifestyle magazine. Fancy linens, sparkling flutes, an overpriced candle flickering in the corner. I took the empty seat, the only one without a personalized card. Jake raised his glass and made a quip about me finally earning a place at the adults' table. I didn't respond. I was accustomed to this. I poured my coffee and tuned out their chatter. They gossiped about distant cousins, Jake's new job title, his shiny car, and how everyone was so proud. I nodded when needed and ate my eggs. It was always like this. I showed up, kept quiet, and covered the bill when they forgot their wallets. Then, as I reached for the last slice of toast, my mother turned to me with that familiar smirk. "You're lucky we even include you. Pity goes a long way." My aunt took a sip and added, "Let him feel special." I didn't flinch. I finished my coffee, gave a small smile, and said nothing. That night, I opened my laptop and acted without hesitation. I emailed my attorney. I pulled the deed for the
family cabin from the Safin my closet.
The one they called our retreat. But it wasn't ours. It was mine. My name on the title, my money that saved it when Dad nearly lost it in 2009. They treated it like their personal getaway, but I paid the taxes and upkeep. They never chipped in. Then I accessed our shared financial pool, the one I'd built with my pristine credit to cover family expenses. I was the foundation. The one they relied on. I revoked every authorization, severed every connection to my accounts, and canceled every automatic payment. I didn't tell a soul. I waited. 2 weeks later, the chaos began. Jake was the first to notice when his card was declined at a club. Then the group chat exploded, Mom asking why her utility payment failed, Dad complaining about the cabin's lapsed insurance. Then the cable, the gardener, the housekeeper, the vacation bookings. They tried calling. I didn't pick up. Jake finally got through. He started shouting, saying I'd humiliated him in front of his buddies, accusing me of destroying everything over a harmless joke. He demanded I fix it. I ended the call. Mom texted at midnight, asking if I was okay. I didn't respond. I sat there, replaying their laughter from that morning. How effortlessly they made me the butt of their jokes. How they depended on me to hold everything together but never treated me like I mattered. I'd been their fallback for years. Now they'd learn what it was like without one. After Jake's outburst, everything went quiet.
No calls, no text, nothing.
The group chat fell silent. Not even one of Mom's usual fake-friendly emojis to smooth things over.
Just stillness.
They probably thought I'd back down. That I'd feel guilty for overreacting. That I'd come running back, apologizing for misreading their jokes. That was their typical script. But this time, I didn't play along. The money I lent when Jake's shady insurance deal nearly landed him in jail, and they begged me to bail him out. They swore it was short-term. A month, tops. That was 16 months ago. I demanded it back. $4,000. No interest.
No negotiations.
Due by month's end. I gave them a deadline and nothing more. By morning, I had 6 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and 3 voicemails from Jake. He went from ranting to begging in under 2 minutes. Said he couldn't hang out with his friends because his cards were dead. Said his girlfriend was furious. Said it wasn't fair. None of it mattered. On Wednesday, I sent them a spreadsheet. 1 line. Outstanding balance, $4,000. Due, July 31st.
No extensions. No debates. No exceptions.
Mom called that night, sobbing. Said I was ripping the family apart. Said they never meant to hurt me. Said it was all in jest. That I was too sensitive. I reminded her how Jake used to tease that I was adopted. How she'd quip that I should have been an accountant to finally be useful. How Dad once said, after a tense Thanksgiving, that all my therapy hadn't made me easier to deal with. None of them ever said sorry. But now that they needed me, now they were sorry. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't swear. I just said what I should have said years ago. You don't get to treat me like I'm disposable and expect me to save you when things fall apart. Then I hung up. I've never felt clearer. By week's end, they knew I meant business. The tone shifted fast. Jake stopped shouting. Dad stopped acting aloof. Mom started calling daily, acting like we were close. Suddenly, I was the family's VIP. It was almost sad. She called Tuesday, leaving a voicemail about a broken dishwasher. Said she didn't know how to book a repair without me. Wednesday, it was the electric bill. They'd forgotten how to access the account since I'd handled it for years. Thursday, she sent a photo of Jake next to his car, hood up. Said I always knew how to fix these things. They didn't apologize. They didn't offer to repay me. They just wanted normalcy. That evening, my aunt texted. The same one who smirked at brunch like it was a comedy show. She said I'd gone too far. That I needed to consider what kind of person I wanted to be. Said I was hurting people who cared about me. I nearly laughed. They were all in pain now, and it took so little. Just a few clicks, a few forms, a few snips to cut the strings they'd tied around me. I hadn't screamed, hadn't lashed out, hadn't destroyed anything. I'd just stopped giving. And that was enough to unravel their world. I got the $4,000 on Friday. Wired from Dad's account with a curt note, "We're even." They thought that settled it. Like paying the debt erased everything. It didn't. That night, I finalized the cabin sale paperwork. It hit the market the next week. I didn't tell them. On Saturday, Jake tried again. Showed up at my place with beers and some spiel about brothers sorting things out. Said he missed the old days. Said it was dumb we were fighting over a few jabs. I let him talk on the porch until he realized I wasn't engaging. Then he stood, threw it back at me. Called me petty, theatrical, impossible. I shut the door mid-sentence. Later, he texted. Said he hoped I enjoyed being alone. That the family was moving on without me. They weren't. I could see it in their circling. Mom's passive-aggressive texts about we all mess up. Dad asking if I'd handle the property taxes just this once. Jake acting like nothing happened when he needed a lift to the mechanic. I ignored it all. The more they pretended nothing had changed, the clearer it was how much had. They needed me, not because they valued me, but because their lives relied on my reliability. Quiet.
Dépendable. Invisible.
But I wasn't that guy anymore. And they weren't ready for what came next. The listing went live on a Monday. I watched from my kitchen table, coffee in hand, as the cabin's photos appeared online.
White deck, green shutter, piné all around.
The place I'd spent countless weekends maintaining while they showed up with drinks and acted like owners. The fallout was quick. By noon, my phone was buzzing. I didn't need to check. I knew. Mom called 4 times before I muted it. Then the group chat erupted. My aunt spotted it first, sending a screenshot of the listing with "What's this?" Like she hadn't smirked when I was mocked over brunch. Mom followed with "You can't mean this." Then a crying emoji. It wasn't until a family friend texted her, someone I barely knew, that she unraveled. The friend saw the listing online and asked if Mom was moving. When Mom said she had no idea, the friend asked if everything was okay. That's what broke her. Her next voicemail was a mess of tears and gasps. Said I was destroying the family. That I was acting like a stranger. That people were asking questions, and she didn't know how to answer. I didn't respond. That night, Dad texted, "Call me. Now." I didn't. I went to bed and slept soundly. The next day, Jake lost it. Flooded the group chat with screenshots. The listing. The price.
The Realtores info.
A text from a buddy asking to book the cabin for a trip. He tagged me with question marks, then later called me a traitor. Said I had no right. Called me selfish, spiteful, Unhinged, I blocked him. Blocked them all.
Phone, email, everything, done.
I knew what was next.
The guilt trips. The emotional manipulation. The UVE change de lecture.
And I was right. On Thursday, they showed up. Mom, Dad, and, unexpectedly, Jake's girlfriend, Sarah. That caught me off guard.
I craquait the door. Sarah stepped forward.
Said she wasn't there for Jake. Hadn't even told him she was coming. Wanted to talk, just us. She'd seen the listing and didn't believe it at first. Jake always said the cabin was his. That he'd taken it over after Dad stepped back. That he paid the bills and taxes. That it was his family's legacy. Then last week, she found the deed in his desk while looking for a pen.
My name.
My payments.
My signature.
She confronted him, and the lies fell apart.
Every story. Every boast.
Every tale he spun to look like the star. She said she was done with him. Just thought I should know. Then she apologized and left. I looked at my parents. They stood there, speechless. I told them I'd already arranged their payout. They'd get their $20,000. Jake would get nothing. Dad tried to talk. Something about loyalty, about how families handle things together. I said it had been handled. For years. They just didn't listen.
He shut the door.
That night, I got the confirmation. Offer accepted. Sale pending. Closing in 3 weeks. The cabin was gone. And I didn't feel a shred of guilt. Not even a flicker. The cabin sold on a Thursday morning. I saw the email during a work call. A brief note from the title company confirming the transfer and deposit. That was it. A few formal words and a number in my account 30 minutes later. It was oddly quiet for such a big moment. I closed the email, made coffee, and sent one wire transfer. $20,000 to my parents' account. No note. They'd figure it out. Or not. I didn't care. It took an hour. Mom called first. I ignored it. Then again. And again. Then texts, each more frantic than the last. Said I couldn't be serious. That the cabin wasn't just a house, it was family history. Said she'd call the realtor herself. Said she'd get a lawyer. There was no lawyer. At 4:32 p.m., Dad texted. We need to talk. You're making a mistake. I replied, sale's done. You've been paid. I knew the group chat would flare up next. They always rallied together. By evening, it was chaos. My aunt jumped in, the one who'd said let him feel special like it was a punchline. Said I was lashing out. That this wasn't me. That I was. That I was above this. Then Jake went off. Started with "you've got to be kidding" and spiraled. Screenshots. Messages from his friends. Something about a planned ski trip. How he looked like a fraud now. Said I ruined everything because I couldn't handle being the least accomplished at brunch. I didn't respond. I waited until morning. Then I played my final move. Cabin sold. Title transferred. Your share, $20,000, paid. Don't contact me about it again. Also, I've permanently withdrawn from the family credit pool. The bank's been notified. Access revoked. You're not authorized to use my name or credit anymore. Ever. I sent it. Left the chat. Powered off my phone. What came next was predictable, except for one surprise. Jake didn't call that night. Or the next. But Sunday afternoon, my buzzer rang. It was Jake. He looked wrecked. Bloodshot eyes, crumpled clothes, hands stuffed in his pockets. He didn't shout. Didn't fake charm. Just said he was in trouble. Said Sarah had left him. That he couldn't get a new lease approved. That his cool friends had ghosted him. That he needed my help. Not wanted. Needed. Said we were still brothers. That we didn't always get along, but we had to have each other's backs. I asked where that logic was when he let me clean up his messes for years. He had no answer. I told him I was done fixing things. That he could learn to stand or keep falling. That I didn't hate him, but I wasn't saving him. Then I said something he'd never heard. You don't get to treat people like garbage and expect their loyalty. He stared for a moment. Nodded once. And left. I watched him go, and for the first time, I wasn't angry. Just finished. The accounts were closed. The money was sent. The property was gone. Every tie they'd used to bind me was cut. And it was quiet. Too quiet, sometimes. It's been 3 months since I sold the cabin, closed the accounts, and cut the cords to people who only knew how to take. That I was above this. Then Jake went off. Started with "you've got to be kidding" and spiraled. Screenshots. Messages from his friends. Something about a planned ski trip. How he looked like a fraud now. Said I ruined everything because I couldn't handle being the least accomplished at brunch. I didn't respond. I waited until morning. Then I played my final move. Cabin sold. Title transferred. Your share, $20,000, paid. Don't contact me about it again. Also, I've permanently withdrawn from the family credit pool. The bank's been notified. Access revoked. You're not authorized to use my name or credit anymore. Ever. I sent it. Left the chat. Powered off my phone. What came next was predictable, except for one surprise. Jake didn't call that night. Or the next. But Sunday afternoon, my buzzer rang. It was Jake. He looked wrecked. Bloodshot eyes, crumpled clothes, hands stuffed in his pockets. He didn't shout. Didn't fake charm. Just said he was in trouble. Said Sarah had left him. That he couldn't get a new lease approved. That his cool friends had ghosted him. That he needed my help. Not wanted. Needed. Said we were still brothers. That we didn't always get along, but we had to have each other's backs. I asked where that logic was when he let me clean up his messes for years. He had no answer. I told him I was done fixing things. That he could learn to stand or keep falling. That I didn't hate him, but I wasn't saving him. Then I said something he'd never heard. You don't get to treat people like garbage and expect their loyalty. He stared for a moment. Nodded once. And left. I watched him go, and for the first time, I wasn't angry. Just finished. The accounts were closed. The money was sent. The property was gone. Every tie they'd used to bind me was cut. And it was quiet. Too quiet, sometimes. It's been 3 months since I sold the cabin, closed the accounts, and cut the cords to people who only knew how to take. No one's called. No one's shown up. Not even a random meme from my aunt, who used to send them like clockwork. Nothing. Total silence. And most days, I love it. My place feels larger now. Tidier. The air freer. I don't wake up with that constant hum of dread, wondering what crisis I'd need to solve. I've picked up old passions again. Books. Cooking real meals. I even took a solo trip to Montana. No plans. Just drove through the mountains, windows down, no one asking where I was. But freedom comes with shadows. Not regret, I wouldn't change a thing, but shadows of what might have been. If they'd been different. If I'd had a family that knew how to give. That didn't make love a ledger. I kept the money. Obviously. Jake never reached out again. My parents didn't thank me for the $20,000. I checked their account when it hit. Yes, I still had access. They logged in 10 minutes after it cleared. Moved the money. Changed the password. That was it. Like it was a refund. Weeks later, Jake emailed. No subject. One line, "You stopped," and I finally felt it. I don't expect anything. Just, I get it now. I read it twice. Archived it. Not because I doubted him, it was the first real thing he'd said in years. But there was nothing left to say. Not yet. Maybe never. He probably thought that was enough. That seeing the damage equaled fixing it. It doesn't. Knowing you broke something doesn't make it whole. I've been hanging out with Ryan, our younger cousin, more. He's 16, sharp, quiet. He never laughed when Jake and Mom made me the punchline. I noticed that. I pick him up sometimes, take him to the arcade or for pizza. I don't talk about the family much. I don't need to. He gets it. I'm not trying to rescue him. Just letting him know someone's in his corner if he needs to walk away too. My parents? I doubt they'll reach out. Not because they're over it, but because they don't know how to handle a version of me that doesn't need them. They can't reach someone they can't control, guilt, or shame. And now they never will. Some nights, I lie awake and think about that brunch.
Jekes smirk.
Mom's jab. How they were so sure I'd never push back. That's what lingers, not their cruelty, but their confidence that I'd take it forever. Now that I've walked away, they're still waiting for me to return.
Tout calme down.
To miss them enough to fix it all. I won't. I've won.
Noti na cinématique ouais. No musique, no vengeance. Just contrôle.
Quiet. Peace. It's not as loud as they think a win should be. But it's mine. And it's enough. It's been nearly a year since that brunch. A year since I sold the cabin. Since I sent the money. Since I told them they were done using me. They've stayed gone. Jake hasn't emailed. My parents haven't called.
No birthday messages. No holiday cards.
Not even a forwarded chain email from Mom. At first, it was strange. Now it's normal. I still see Ryan sometimes. He's graduating soon. Over burgers last week, he said, out of nowhere, they still talk about you at every get-together. I didn't ask what they said. I didn't care. He looked like he wanted to say more, then just said, I get it. That was enough. I live intentionally now. I bought a small house 2 hours from the city. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. No shared accounts. No co-signed debts.
No one holding anything over me.
Just space, fresh air, and peace I fought for by letting go of the past. Last week, I found something odd. A postcard.
No return address.
Just a picture of a lake at dusk. On the back, in neat handwriting, we could have done better. You deserved more. No name.
No signature.
Could have been any of them. Or none. I tucked it in a drawer. Didn't toss it. Didn't respond.
Some doors don't close all at once.
Some take years. But I'm not opening them yet. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales.
Your support means everything.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.